which was Gimbels, as many people know, opened, by the way, almost 2 months to the day that Pennsylvania Station opened in 1910. So opened on September 28, 1910. So this is Miracle on 34th Street, of course, the rival to Macy's, and a building built not by the Pennsylvania Railroad, but does anybody know?
New York?
The H&M, the Hudson and Manhattan, which is why we have the PATH train on
Tubes.
And so the Hudson and Manhattan wanted to build a building to rival Macy's and to bring attention to its railroad. The Pennsylvania Railroad actually took a lot of its tips from the H&M, and when they built the Hotel Pennsylvania, had that legendary connection, which was shut down in the early 1990s, the Gimbels Passageway, which connected Penn Station to Herald Square. Then Gimbels became A&S, and then it became Stearns, and then it became JCPenney's, and there's no anchor store here anymore in preparation for its demolition. And again, we're losing a building that they sunk millions into in the late 80s and early 90s to make this the Manhattan Mall. It's a beautiful building. It still has the bones. Daniel Burnham designed it. And of course, the star of the show, the Gimbels Traverse, as it's really known as, the Sky Bridge. Now, the Sky Bridge was done by Shreve and Lamb, the same architects who did the Empire State Building. 3 stories, copper. Why did they do it? Because who did Gimbels buy, everybody? Saks, 34th Street. People don't know that, but Gimbels was actually the parent company of what we know as Saks Fifth Avenue today. And they did it to connect the buildings to get the shoppers in a beautiful, respectful manner from one building to the other. It is now dotted this area for decades. It opened in 1925, and it would be sorely missed. When I do my Penn tour, I have a photo of people coming out of Pennsylvania Station onto 7th Avenue with those gorgeous pillars in front of them, the colonnade, graciously and respectfully welcoming them out onto 7th Avenue, not what we have today. And I'm always touched by the image of the bridge in the foreground. And I think of Vincent Scully's quote, and I know you all know it. We used to enter the city like gods, and now we scuttle in like rats. And they just want to keep the scuttling and the rats going. And we don't want it anymore. Let's stop and let's make it worthy of the gods again. Woo! So, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to turn it... Okay, Brad's going to do a tidbit, and then we're going to do a moment, and then we'll wrap everything up. So go ahead.
All right, thank you, Justin. Now, when you look up at this sky bridge, you'll note that it's not just a shipping container across the gap. There's something to it. And again, when you look, the bottom of it is coffered. There are those squares that are indented up. You can see that there is a sense of style here with this copper patina. And if you look over on the Gimbels side, don't forget to look up at the lions. We talked about the squirrels earlier, but there are lions up there at the cornice of that building. Now, why are Sky Bridge uniquely interesting and special in New York City? One, because they are rare. We lost 2 of them down near Madison Square Park within a relatively short period of time. And let me tell you, people were outraged. People find value and just that little tidbit of magic in the city when you come around a corner, and even if you have crossed it many, many times, to come around that corner and see the Sky Bridge there is that bit of magic that you need in your day. It is the chance to be surprised in the cityscape. And this is one of the real gems. It should never, ever be torn down. And let me tell you, going back to this environmental impact statement, is it even listed as something worthy of consideration for the city, the state, or the National Register? No. It is almost completely and utterly overlooked, and it is a major deficiency in the plan. So if you're getting on the hearing tomorrow night from 5 to 8, we're going to send the link out to you. Everyone who registered after this event, register, get on there and say something. If you want to focus on one thing, talk about how the fact that they did not cover the Gimbels Sky Bridge in the environmental impact statement basically means that the whole thing was not done well. With that whole thing was in terms of the environmental review. Now, I was brief before, and I'll brief now, but I want to bring over Lynn. Might not be in the fanciest buildings. Lynn pointed out there were people doing taekwondo or something else on the street. That's what you want. That is a vibrant city. We need that and we want that. What we are advocating for is a transit plan that will expand the region's core so there is not so much pressure on real estate in Manhattan that you have no choice but to destroy everything in its sight. And never mind these buildings, they'll be going after buildings that have been landmarked and relitigating that. They're just putting too much pressure on the real estate. We shouldn't do that. We need to find a better way to do this. Do speak tomorrow night. But more importantly, some of you are already signed up with us. If you are not, if you want to do one great thing this holiday season, join our coalition, join our effort. This is a battle for the heart and soul of this city. The Empire State Development Corp very proudly says, we want to build office towers from river to river. Who wants to live in a city like that? Why would you destroy what makes New York City so popular? This sky bridge, some of you may have noticed in what we sent out this morning, that this features prominently in Steven Spielberg's West Side Story and the Gimbels building. Hollywood likes what we have to offer. 21st century employers like what we have to offer. Google is down in a pre-war Port Authority building. They just went into the St. John's Terminal down on the Lower West Side. We've got another technology company in the backside of the Farley. They don't need these 10, 15 things. If Roth and Ross want to have a, I'm not going to say it, contest, do it someplace else. Okay, do it someplace else. We have morals in this city.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Hi, so I'm Lynn Ellsworth. I'm with the Alliance for a Human Scale City and also with this coalition. But I wanted to point out that several years back in my neighborhood, we had 40 historic buildings demolished over the course of 4 years while we were pleading with the Landmarks Preservation Commission to do something about it. Then I find out that the same thing is happening in Fort Greene. Then I find out that the same thing is happening in Gowanus. Then in East Harlem, where they upzone East Harlem as an incentive to demolish all the old buildings. What's going on is that the Real Estate Board of New York, Vornado, Related, all these big companies are in a war against the historic city. And they're winning. And we are the front line. We are the only people standing up to fight this. I urge you to talk to your neighbors and say, now is the time to get on the phone and talk to your electeds. Now, it's happening everywhere. In East Midtown, the community board gave me a map of recent demolitions, and it's red marks everywhere. If we don't stop them now, they're gonna win. Thank you.
I've got something to say. Something that I learned from the meetings last week.
were there were two people that were in the meetings who were in the fight to stop the Penn Station destruction 50 years ago. They're still alive. And another one that they gave us a link to the recording of somebody who passed who had a 1-hour conversation about that. The thing that they taught us last week is that everything they did, nothing really mattered. They lost Penn Station, but they did wind up saving Grand Central. But the thing that they taught me last week was that the thing that saved Grand Central was the celebrity, was essentially Jackie O. So, just in case somebody knows a new Jackie O, we need him or her.
Very good point.